Well, hello and welcome back to the channel, guys. Today's video is all about the books that I read in 2021 that you can definitely put in your reading list for 2022. After starting this YouTube channel and in general trying to upskill myself, I started reading a lot of books and I've learned a lot from them. Something that I will definitely be continuing this year as well. So without wasting any more time, let's dive into the video. So in total, I read around 22 books. I know, not an impressive number, but I'm definitely happy. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the top 10 books out of these 22 books. So let's start with the first one, Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. I dived into this thinking that this will just be another business book, but my mind was completely blown away by the sheer amount of dedication, determination, and passion Phil Knight had for his vision. The book is so beautifully written that you would not want to put it down. Obviously, I didn't know much about Phil Knight before reading this book, so it came to me as a shock that for the first 4 years of starting his company Blue Ribbon and then Nike, he worked as a professor as well as at a company to support his family. The whole book is set in the 60s, basically the origin of Nike and the other company, and each and every chapter is basically written as a year. For me, the best part of the entire book was how much detailing Phil had mentioned in the book. The ups and downs, the countless setbacks, the number of times he felt as if he's gonna lose everything, which tend to happen every year at least in his case, and all his personal hurdles as a leader, as a CEO, and as a team worker, including his internal deliberations whether this fight that he is fighting, is it worth it or not. I highly recommend this one, and this is one of the best memoirs that I've read so far. Now moving on to the second book, Atomic Habits by James Clear. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your system. Change your identity to change your habits because motivation is overrated. These are some of the powerful quotes that I relate with in the book. I had read about habits before this in the popular book The Power of Habit, but that book for me was really theoretical and had not much actionable insights, whereas Atomic Habits takes a radically different approach when it comes to habit building. It was as if James really set out to write a book that delves into each and every step of habit formation, but from a practical standpoint. In the book, according to him, what we do and what we achieve at the end of the day largely depends on our daily behaviors. So solely focusing on developing certain habits and discarding the bad ones can have drastic changes in our life. I know a lot of self-help books are getting a negative image, but this one is definitely not fluff and actually has actionable insights that you can put into action from day one itself. Now the third book in this list is the Almanack of Naval Ravikant. Now this book might just be the most insightful and the most helpful book that I've read the entire year. And for those of you who don't know, Naval Ravikant is an Indian-American entrepreneur and investor who is highly regarded in the field of health, wealth and happiness. And this book is actually not traditionally written like any other memoir, but is actually a culmination of all his tweets, his blog posts, his articles and all the interviews that he has been on. So it's like a great instruction manual for someone who is trying to transform themselves and make the best out of their time that they have here. As I mentioned, self-help is getting a lot of negative badge right now, but this book is not self-help. This book is wisdom, and I'm definitely recommending this book to everyone. Now moving on to the fourth book, it is Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, and oh my god, this book deserves every bit of rating it has on all the platforms, be it Amazon, the Marketplace, or the book community Goodreads. This is a truly phenomenal and inspiring and one of the best memoirs I've read so far. It is basically the story of David Goggins, and we follow his entire journey from his abusive childhood to the point where he moves on from that part, goes on to the Navy SEAL, and how he pushes every single limit of his physical body. The amount of struggle that David goes through and he makes his body go through, sometimes it made me think whether is he stupid or is he stubborn to not realize from his mistakes. But man, his willpower to just constantly improve and push his limits and just push everything over the brink just makes it an inspiring, truly motivating story. As always, I read the Kindle version as well as listened to the Audible version, which actually has more comments after each and every chapter from Goggins himself. So it was really great to know a little bit more backstory about each and every chapter. Now moving on to the fifth book, it was Think Again, The Power of Knowing What You Don't Know. This book was a little different from a lot of self-help books because this book actually pushes you to be okay with not knowing, to be okay with being incorrect and actually questioning everything that you know. When we do something like this, our ego despises it because this is not a comfort zone and we have to move away from our comfort zone to, question everything that we believed in. Maybe we are coming from a particular background and we experience some something very culturally different, so we may disregard it completely. And this book tells us to not do that and think again from a different perspective. Maybe think again like a child who's just trying to learn something new. And the best part for me about this book is that the author actually spends a lot of chapters discussing why it is very difficult to actually talk to a certain group of people, and then again moves on to the next couple of chapters to discuss how you can actually have conversations with these difficult group of people. For example, for today's age, I can say talking to anti-vaxxers and people who are maybe politically oriented towards something. And it was really insightful and intriguing book, so I will definitely recommend this to anyone who is trying to learn about new cultures, maybe trying to have new experiences, or just trying to move out of this shell. This book will definitely, as the title suggests, will push you to think again. Moving on to the sixth book in the list, The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. And this was a really quick read that I really enjoyed. And the important idea behind the book is that we are complex human beings and we have complex relationships with money, and that's why it is okay and definitely acceptable to make decisions that are not based on cold Excel calculations. And the reason is that we are emotional human beings. Even if it is not the best financial decision, if it actually gives you the peace of mind, then it is the right decision for you. For example, if you are repaying your student loan, which is at an interest rate of 4%, and you want to repay it sooner, so you give extra money, it might not be the best financial decision, because you can take that extra money and invest it into the stock market and typically get 8% to 10% return. But repaying that loan gives you that peace of mind. So even if it is not the best financial decision, it gives you the peace of mind. So it is totally acceptable and a great thing to do for yourself. And yeah, I think the next main topic of the book is how to basically invest and create your wealth, and how to have a relationship with money. And the general idea is that don't try to be smart, don't try to time the market. Nobody has been able to figure out how to try the market, so just invest regularly into blue chip stocks, into index fund, into ETFs, into the S&P 500 index or the Nifty 50 and all these funds, and just invest for the long term, 20, 25, 30 years, and don't think about it, because in the end that would yield the best result. Overall, it was definitely a very good read, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone who is trying to improve their finances, maybe invest into the stock market, because this book will actually give you the psychological relationship you will develop with money. So the next book on the list is Contagious, Why Things Catch On by Jonah Berger. So the premise of this book is basically why some things go viral and some things don't. And the basic principle behind a viral piece generally belongs to one of the 6 domains that he mentions. Either it has social currency, either it triggers something, maybe it evokes an emotion, you see other people using it, so you get a type of affirmation, maybe it has some practical value, or it tells a story that you can share. And the rest of the book basically goes deep into all of these 6 domains, and the author gives real life examples. For the most part, whatever is mentioned in the book is kind of common sense, but sometimes common sense can also be rare. So it was nice to read it from a different perspective. It was a decent read, not great, but I've put this into this list because I am interested in marketing. And if you are interested in marketing as well, this is a must read, because you will get more insight into the whole social media platform of why things go viral, some things don't, and what you can do as a content creator to maybe tap into this psychological concept. So yeah. So now the 8th book in the list is The Big Billion Startup, which is actually the story of how Flipkart was built. And frankly, I did not expect much from this book as well, but this one was amazing as well. And the best part was that this book was very well researched and very well written, and it had just the right amount of office politics mentioned in the book, and also from which part of the pyramid. I mean, obviously Flipkart's success is not just dependent on its founders and the top management, but also all of its employees. But I guess if you read about stories that involved employees, you would lose track of the bigger picture. So yeah, it was nice to read it just from the perspective of the upper level management or the founders. I know a lot of people will disagree, because they also want to know the stories of the employees, but for me it was an insightful read. I got to see the inspirational story behind Sachin and Binny Bansal, the founders of Flipkart, and how for the first few years, I mean, they didn't even have any delivery person, so any order that would come in on on the website, the founder himself, Sachin or Binny, would go deliver the item to the actual customer, and all of their friends were just telling them to give up and maybe get a job or start something new, but they just didn't give up. They were consistent, they believed in their vision, and we all know where Flipkart is right now. So it was really an inspirational story. And yeah, I read this on the Kindle app as well as listened to the Audible version, so the narration was really great, so my entire experience was awesome. Now moving on to the last 2 books on this list. The first 8 basically belong to the self-help, improvement, business memoirs, just non-fiction categories. The last 2 in this list are basically fiction books. The 9th book on this list, Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. And I will just explain this book in 6 words. Amazingly creative, hauntingly beautiful, and fucking genius. This book for me was insanity in a box. I know I'm hyping this too much, but in my opinion, this is the perfect book if you are having a reading slump. If you want to pick up a book and just end that reading slump, let this book be that book. And also the best part, this book is not that long. It's just, I think, 250 to 300 pages. So it will definitely get over in 1 or 2 days, 3 days max. And the second best part is, after you start reading it, once you get to the climax scene in the first few chapters, once you get to know what is happening inside the whole story, you would not want to give it up. You would not want to give it up, and you would want to finish it in just one sitting. I mean, I also want to talk, the struggle that I'm facing right now is I want to talk more about this book, but I also don't want to give any spoiler. From the title, Dark Matter, it's obvious that it's a story, it's a science fiction story. So yeah, it deals with kind of the concept of multiverse, maybe time travel, but more on the lines of multiverse, and that's all I'm gonna say. So definitely pick this one up. If you are a fiction lover, then definitely pick this up. If you are a science fiction lover, pick this one up. Or if you are having a reading slump, just pick this one up. Trust me, you will not regret it. And that brings us to the last book on the list, Elantris by Brandon Sanderson. As I mentioned, I dabbled into fiction after watching a lot of videos from my favorite creator, Ali Abdal, and he talks about how Brandon Sanderson is his all-time favorite author. So obviously I wanted to read something by Brandon Sanderson. He is more famous for his Mistborn series, which I'm actually reading right now. So in 2021 I started with one of his earlier works, which is a standalone novel. It's not a series, so it was my first choice because I didn't want to invest into a series right away. So I picked up Elantris, and for me, I had a lot of expectations with this fantasy novel, and it did deliver. The whole overall world building was amazing. The plot was intriguing. The whole magic system was actually really nice. I mean, the only magic system which is kind of very popular is like Harry Potter and other stuff. But yeah, the magic system in Elantris was also really intriguing and very detailed, so you get to know the entire stuff. And yeah, the characters were really amazing. The main character, the supporting cast, and everybody, actually kind of 3-4 characters for me kind of stole the show. So overall it was a really nice experience. I again read this on my Kindle app as well as listened to the Audible version, which actually had dramatic narration, so it was really nice reading it. I think that the only grudge I have is that towards the end chapters, it was a little rushed. I think I would have liked a couple of more chapters, maybe if not chapters, then a couple of more pages, like 10 to 12, 15 more pages. But yeah, I guess that's the author's will. But overall, definitely a solid recommendation. It is definitely a long book, around I think 600-700 pages if I remember correctly. But yeah, if you love the fantasy genre, definitely give this one a try. And yeah, there you have it, top 10 books that I read in 2021 that you can definitely put in your reading list for 2022. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed filming it. If you have seen my previous videos, I mean, this kind of energy might be a little new for you. But yeah, I guess this just comes out when I'm talking about books that I love. So yeah, definitely give it a thumbs up if you like and enjoyed the video, and also consider subscribing to the channel. As always, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.